Okay, after we created our fake data here and here, we can now create some routes, the CRUD routes, the basics. So first thing I will remove this route folder. For now, I'll put everything inside the controllers, and maybe in later video I will organize things a bit more. And each time we duplicate ourselves when creating the routes for different entities, maybe I will solve that with a generic function that you just pass the entity and it will build like a default structure or default route mappings for any entity. Because if you work on Express or even Hapi.js, you will see yourself always write almost the same things for each entity, but with the small differences. And you can just write a single maybe class, a generic class, or maybe a specific function that returns. You just pass to it configuration, and it will return to you the routes for each entity. So just write it one time and just call it for each entity. In case of a function, in case of a class, just create an instance for each entity and that's it. But that is maybe in the later videos. For now, let's just cover the basics. So inside our controllers, I will create an index.typescript. This is for the export, and I will create a folder called users. Inside of it, a file called users.controller.typescript. And here I will import a couple of things. So first thing is the connection and repository from TypeORM, and I will import the user entity from the entities. And from Hapi, I will import the response toolkit, the server route interface, and the request interface. And that's it for now. I will cover validation in another videos, but let's just continue. So export const user controller will be a function that accepts a connection and return an array of server route. For now, let's just put this so TypeScript won't complain. Okay, so const user repo will be of type repository user entity, and this will be equal to connection.get repository the user entity. And now I will return the default CRUD routes. So let's just work on the first one. So method will be get, path will be /users, and the handler will be equal to a function. If you go to our index.typescript, this is the same arguments that this function accepts, so you can just copy that and put it here. And what we will return, we return the user repo dot find. So for now, this will return all the users, and this is, by the way, return a promise. I think Hapijs behind the scenes, it's smart enough to realize that, and it will return the resolve value from that promise. So we can just test this. So let me run. So npm ts node dev npm run ts node dev index.typescript. But before that, we need, of course, to export this. So export from users the user controller, and go to our index.typescript and just import that. So import from controllers the user controller, and what you will do inside after the initialization for the DB, as you can remember, this will return the connection. So we can create a variable called con of type connection, and after that we can just call our functions and pass the connection to them. But this will complain because we are retaining void from our then. We can fix this a way that you can define the variable that you are expecting here. and just return it. Or, which I think might be a little bit more readable, is to remove the then and just console log, and that's it. And pass, then after that pass the connection to the user controller, and remember that this returns an array of routes, so you need to register these routes. So server.routes.route will be equal to this, sorry, not equal, we will pass the return value from the user controller, which is an array of routes, to the user, to the route which accepts a server route or an array of server routes, and that's it. So let me test that in the browser. So localhost 3000/users. So as you can see, here are all the users, they are 50. So as just like I said, it's Hapijs is smart enough to realize that this is a promise, and it will resolve it and return it, which is good. Okay, so this is the basic on how we can maybe retain data from TypeORM and Hapijs. Let's just define all the other routes. So method will be also get, and the path will be a little bit different. So it's /users and then this ID with the curly brackets. This means this route will be activated on a route like this, so user and then an ID like this. If you want to make this conditionally, so it might be here or it might not be here, just put a question mark. Okay, so now we will also use the handler. So let me copy this from here. And each happy request contains a query or a parameter. So query is everything the user passes as a query. You know, when you finish your link with this, so under question mark, u equal maybe a name, word, and then and y equal 34. These are the query parameter, but the params are the things that you define here. So this request or this function accepts a param called ID. So it does not start with a question mark, so it's just part of the URI. So we can just destruct that, and params.id will be equal to what the user passed, and the query, if you want to get that, so query will be equal to the u equal what and y equal 34 as an object. So I hope this was clear, but this is something to distinguish. And the query won't have the things that exist in the params. So just once again, these are the params, and the query, anything that comes after the question mark. Okay. So usually in this route we would return return the user repo.find one, and just pass the params.id. And a cool way, we can even extract the ID from the params object like this. So just put a colon, then another object or another parentheses, and just destruct the ID and pass it. We can make this also a little bit more shorter. So just remove the parentheses, and this is an explicit return. And you can also do this here. So let's go and try that. So localhost users /5. So this is the user of ID 5. This is one of ID 7. This is basically it for the get. I mean, we can make it more complicated, and I will do that, but these are the basics, and I will do the delete and the post and the patch in the next one.